Okie dokie. Good morning, everyone. Give it another minute or so for the actual live stream to start, just in case anyone's on right now. Okie doke. All right. Okay. Well, actually, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to My Clarity After Scientology. I'm Jeff Carlson, and we are going to be doing a Q&A today. And I got a few things that I want to cover beforehand, but we'll do this as we normally do. We have a number of questions that I'm going to go over, and then I will go ahead and do a live chat from there. I've only got about 45 minutes this morning to do this. Or is it CR Day? Nope, not CR Day. That's in August, I think. I was in New York, so I never got the chance to celebrate that. Okay, so yes, we have, let's see, 5 questions to go over, and then we're going to do live chat questions. I've got until about 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to have to end at that point because I actually got to jump on a call for work. We are also doing, so I'm going to make a little adjustment to my camera here. We are also doing a little bit different setup. So let's hope this works. So far, so good. Okay, let's give it another minute or so. I sent out a tweet on the announcement. And it is 9:15 now. We got a good, healthy stream, so we are good on that end. All right. All right, good. Actually, let's go over the first couple of things. I'll talk a little bit, and then we'll let some more people get on. All right. So a lot of things actually going on recently. First of all, I just finished Blown for Good. I finished this actually right around Christmas time. This is a book that was done by Mark Headley, who was part of international management. He was in the base out in Hemet, California. This is the international base. It's an amazing book. I highly, highly suggest that anyone and everyone gets a chance to go ahead and pick up this book. You can get it on Amazon. Careful on Amazon. I actually got to reach out to Mark on this. There are 2 choices for the book. The first one says it's paperback, but then it charges you $39 or $32 for the book. And then there's another one that charges you $9. Although they both tell you they're charging you $9. So I got to reach out to him and let him know about that, unless it's a reseller of the book. Maybe he can't really do anything about that, but I'm going to remember to do that. So that book is very, very good. Very good insight of the not only how the international management bases work, or the base works, but the insanity that goes on up there, and a lot of what he had to go through in order to get himself out of Scientology, which was not the easiest of things to do. Other thing is, yes, happy holidays to everyone. Hope everyone had a good Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy New Year to everyone as well. I know I had actually a really nice time. Been a little busy I think the first question actually someone asked is, did you disappear? No, I didn't disappear. I've just been very busy, obviously because of the holiday season. I actually shut down one of my businesses that I've been running for about 9 years to start onto a new venture that hopefully will be a little bit more prosperous for me and keep me a little bit more independent in the next few years, which will be really nice. And let's see, what else do we have going on? We just had, oh yeah, I don't know if everyone saw this, but Joy Villa. I want to talk about her for a quick second. Right after Trump got elected, I actually saw an interview with her. And those of you who do not know her, she is an African-American woman. She's white and black raced. Parents, I think her mother's white, her dad's black, or something like that. And she came out as a supporter, after being a supporter of Trump, or of Obama, which I remember her from. She came out and said that she was now a supporter of Trump and explained why. And now she's on the right, and blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. And then she wore some dress at the Grammys. I think that's where I actually first found out about her, as far as being a Make America Great and Trump supporter and that sort of thing. So after I started this channel, I got onto Twitter. I started noticing her Joy Villa coming up a lot, and I'm like, who is this? I'm like, oh yeah, this is the same woman who came out as ex-Obama supporter, liberal, and now a conservative Trump supporter. Then I find out she's actually a Scientologist, and as well as being a recording artist, she's married to, I guess, somebody who's been a long-time Scientologist. If someone knows who she is, go ahead and just put it on the live chat and let me know. So I'll be like, okay, all right, well, she's doing her thing, let her be. And then I saw this interview with her that was done yesterday. It looked like I think it was done in Florida, or at least it was put up. Okay, so Robert Roberts is giving me some information, which we'll go over in a little bit. Okay, so she does this video to an interview, and now apparently she's going to run for Senate or Congress or one of that, their House or a Senate seat, which I find rather interesting that she's going to do that because she's zero political experience, but she's a lot of opinions, and she's bright and she's intelligent, well spoken. But then the interviewer brought up Scientology. Spotted right away that interview was actually done as her coming out as a Scientologist, and it was completely taped. It was totally set up for her, taped as in the path was put together for the interview. She's probably had a lot of the interview questions already, and I'm actually going to do a video specifically of that because it's really interesting because she was very well drilled for that particular interview, which is why I think that she probably had the questions ahead of time. And this was kind of a little bit of a stage. The woman that interviewed her was completely weak. She's more of a kind of a vlogger type of. She kind of more of a vlog type of video, kind of like what we're doing right now. Not that I think I could probably do a better job interviewing her, but we'll see how she stands up against somebody really who knows their stuff. She skated a lot of questions about Scientology, but we're going to actually do a whole new video on that. So we have that. We had the Golden Globes Awards. Elizabeth Moss, who's a longtime Scientologist, won. There's a lot of criticism coming out about her with regards to the anti-Scientology or ex-Scientologist groups, about her unwillingness to come out and speak up against what's going on in Scientology. And, this is where I'm going to end this, and we're going to end the Q&A. The thing that, unless you're really in Scientology, and I'm not meaning to scapegoat or push other people away with their viewpoints, but unless you've had the experience of being a Scientologist and knowing what it's like in order, with regards to things that are being said against Scientology, you really get indoctrinated all the time with people are going to say this is the truth. People are going to say this is the truth. The abortion issue was brought up with Joy Villa. She completely blew it off. She probably, honestly, has no idea. I actually only figured it out as a staff member because my wife was auditing Sea Org members and had mentioned to me that women were being asked to have abortions. Sea Org members were being asked, and you kind of figured it out as well because Sea Org members can't have babies, and their two choices: either to terminate their choice, quote unquote, of what they're given and what they're told to tell everyone is that they can basically leave Scientology, and it used to be they would go work at Class 5 org. What they're doing these days, I have no idea, but obviously the other option is, thinking about it, is to abort or terminate the pregnancy. I'm not even going to get into that. Okay, good. So let's get on with the Q&A. Looks like we have a number of people. I hope everyone is doing well, and let's get on with this. And our first question is from Lorna, who had asked, did you disappear? No, I've just been a little busy. I'm very sorry. We'll keep these going from here on forward. Okay, so the other question she asked, which I told her I would actually bring up in this Q&A, would you go through your whole day of what you do when you have to work 12 hours a day or longer? Okay, I'm going to give you two viewpoints of this. One is the very simple one. When I was running the course room, which you also ask about what are courses. So when I was running the course room, we would have to be at work by 8:45. We had a quick meeting, or what's called a muster, where you get everyone together. Get everyone together, go over quick things that are going on for the day, and then everyone breaks off and goes into their positions. Course room started at 9, and it went until 12. So at 3 hours, people came in on course. From 12 to 1 was lunch. Normally had another muster at 12:45. From 12:45 to 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock to 3:30 was course. So that's second schedule of course time. 3:30, 3:45 was a break. 3:45 to 6 was the third course period. And then from 6 to 7 was dinner. 7 to 9:30. We in Buffalo ended at 9:30. There's two different references on it. One said 10, one said 9:30. We upped it for 9:30. So we ended at 9:30. We would leave by about 10. And we did this Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday was basically 9 to 6. So 9 to 12, 1 to 1:30, 1 to 3:30, 3:45 to 6, and then we go home. So what would I do? I would run a course room. And I'm going to answer both these questions, Lorna, for you at the same time. I ran a course room. Basically, which means is that a course room supervisor is not a teacher. My job was to go, and I was trained in study technology, which we can do a whole other video on if you'd like. And I think actually Chris Shelton or Aaron Smith-Levin have done a video on this, because both of them, I believe, were Aaron definitely was a supervisor, and I think Chris Shelton was a supervisor as well. Okay, so my job was to call roll, get everyone set up for their class. When you did a course in Scientology, you had what's called a check sheet. And a check sheet is a step-by-step instructions of what to do on the for the course that you were doing. So let's say you're doing the grammar and communications course, which is a kind of a lower level, more geared towards children. It would tell you, okay, read chapter 1. That would be the first assignment. Next assignment would be do a demonstration of how communication is important in this world. Next one would be write an essay. So you'd have like a checklist of these different things you would do. My job as a course room supervisor was to make sure that people, A, were understanding what they were reading and studying, and that if they got bugged or they weren't doing well or showing indications of one of the three barriers to study, lack of mass, misunderstood word, and too steep of a gradient. Not going to get into a full explanation on what those are. My job was to, as an expert on this particular subject, I would have to spot these things and then remedy them so that they would be able to, let me just close that. Okay. So that they would be able to continue on with their course. And my job was to make sure they were checked out on the material and that they fully understood it before they completed their course. That basically was my job. If the course room was busy, it was a very quick, very busy day. If the course room was dead, it was a hell day. And for the most part, most of the time, I didn't have any students until at least the 7 o'clock. I had a couple guys that came in at 3:30 to 6 o'clock. But for the most part, Monday through Friday, it was only at night. And then on weekends were actually our busy time. So, excuse me, coffee. Yes, I am a fan of whiskey. Okay, so that's kind of two in one with regards to Lorna's questions. Part 2 of that is when I was the executive director. What was my day like? Okay, so I was the one who ran all the musters. So we had an 8:45, 12:45, and then 6:45 we had musters. My day would basically start I would get there around 8:30, get everything together. And as far as what my day was, it was a lot of meetings. I would meet with my executive council. I would go around to the different areas of the org, looking at their daily statistics, along with the division heads and the executives over those particular areas, and do inspections. I would check in the course room. I would check in the auditing rooms. I was the main registrar, so I knew pretty much everyone on all the different courses. Write telexes. It's weird thinking about it because I had so much to do that like I never had anything to do. It's kind of like one of those situations where there's so much going on all the time that it's hard to really sit back and say, now that I look at it, like, what did I actually do? Um, I would go over income cycles that needed to be brought into people that need to be signed up for services. I would plan out, so and so is finishing a course, but they don't have the next course. Okay, so let's get them in as soon as they're done, and let's start talking to them beforehand. Let's get them in front of some enlightening videos. So I kind of had to wear the hat as the registrar as well. So I had to kind of, I had to take care of making money for the organization. A lot of the areas when we moved into the ideal org, we had a lot of positions covered, so I wasn't doing as much. When I first took over, it was just three staff members, so I was kind of doing basically everything and kind of just and not doing anything. When there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. What are you supposed, what are you supposed to do? So go on course. I did try to get on course as much as possible, not all the time, but for the most part, I did my best that I could. And that was kind of it. I don't know. 12 hours is a long time to do things. I was bored a lot, to be honest with you. So, I guess that's basically what we did. Thursdays were very active because that was the end of the week. At 2 o'clock, we would end the week on Thursday. From 2 till about staff meeting, which is at 9 o'clock on Thursdays. I would be the advisory council would meeting to do the financial planning. I'd be meeting with the executive council. We'd basically put together our entire plan for the rest of the week. And other things too, as I would go through the battle plan for the week, and I'd make sure these different steps are being done. We also had programs that came down to improve particular situations in the organization, so I was in charge of making sure those programs were done. So I guess I was bored. I wasn't bored. It was busy. It wasn't busy. A lot of things came up. A lot of arbitrary things came up too. It was really hard to actually run the organization because there's always these weird things coming in saying to, put this particular post, fill up this particular post, like put an IAS reg on post. Why? I don't even have a reg on post. So a registrar, someone who signs somebody up for class. So why would I put an IAS reg? Why is that important? It's weird. No, because we need to make money. Okay, good. So I hope that handles that. If not, Lorna, you actually can just go ahead and ask me more questions because I enjoy your questions. Okay, this is from LC. Did you ever read Tony Ortega's series on Dianetics? No, I know who Tony Ortega is. I had at one point reached out to him, but never followed up about exposing what had happened to me in Scientology. He has done an amazing job for a long time, exposing Scientology and the insanity that is what Scientology is these days with David Miscavige at the helm. He's wrote some amazing pieces. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily a really big fan of his. And I'm not going to try to shoot myself in the foot here, but I'm not a real big fan. I'm not a real big fan of his. I think we put it the best this way is that he's here writing these things in order to help people, but then, in a sense, mocks Scientology and mocks Scientologists, especially people who were speaking out. And kind of just it gets a bit degrading sometimes, and it's hard because when you were in Scientology and gotten out of Scientology, and why I'm doing these videos is I'm not trying to cut down anyone's point of view of being a Scientologist. They want to be a Scientologist, they can be a Scientologist. I'm not going to degrade that, and I'm not going to make them feel awful for what they're doing. What I will do is tell them what's going on and give them a good understanding of what's happening, happening outside of being a staff member and being tricked into the whole Xenu thing and the clear cognition and all that sort of stuff. But I will not denigrate another person who is involved in Scientology. And I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. And I feel he does that a little bit. So no, I have never read the series on Dianetics by Tony Ortega. I'm more likely to listen to some people who were involved in Scientology, not people who were investigating Scientology, that were not a Scientologist. So I'm probably rocking a boat a little bit there, but I'm allowed to my own opinion on these things. Mech Forsetti. I hope I'm saying that before. You've asked a few questions before. Thank you for your question. Uh, Let me just read this. Okay, so is it common or even a thing for people who have left the Church of Scientology to seek or join another religion? I am going to quote Claire Headley, and I hope she ever gets to see this so she can hear that I quoted her on this. She did an interview, a live interview on Facebook with Aaron Smith Levin a couple of last week. Well, I'm not going to remember exactly what she said, but the general gist of it is I was involved with a very insane organization, and every time I look at another religion, I see that it's still kind of the same thing. So I don't necessarily belong to another religion. I do have my own religious beliefs, but most people that I know that came out of Scientology did not get involved in another religion. So I'm not going to quote Claire because I forgot what she said exactly. But the gist of what she's basically a gist of what she said for herself personally. So yeah, but also the other thing too is that when you get involved in Scientology, it's not a religion to you. Most people will admit that. It wasn't a religion for me, and I had a hard time even saying it was a religion. It was something I was doing. It was something that I believed in, but I didn't ever really consider it a religion because we never really did anything religious. I mean, we had Sunday services, which is a public relations thing. We had had a chaplain on post. We had a chapel, actually a very beautiful chapel. But we never really did, we didn't do anything religious. And one of the things I really hate, one of the things I really hated is that we never did food drives. We never did donations for the poor. We never did these things. And, that's another whole nother thing video we can do on that particular one. But no, I don't think it's a thing for ex-Scientologists to get involved in the religions. Some people do. Some people grew up Catholic and got into Scientology and went back to Catholicism. Some people are Jewish, go back to being Jewish. I don't know if people really even let go of those things as far as their belief systems, but for the most part, no. Lena Sith Lady, how many IS events have you attended, and what did you experience during them? How many IS events? Okay, so there are two types of IS events. There is the fundraising event that is done 2 or 3 times a year, where these two people from the Eastern United States would actually travel all along the Eastern United States and go to all the different organizations in the Eastern United States. Boston, D.C., Philadelphia, Buffalo, Detroit, Ann Arbor, California, down in Florida, Miami, Tampa. Actually, they never did Tampa. Orlando, all Atlanta, all along the coast. They would travel back and forth. And they would do these briefings, usually on a Saturday night around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And they basically just come there. They have a particular dollar amount they're looking to raise, $20,000. Let's just say. And they would do a briefing about how horrible psychiatry was. And then after that briefing, they would it was basically, we're raising money now. So they would go through all of that. How many of those did I go through? Well, do the math. 13 years on staff times 3. 49. And then there's the international IAS event in October every year. So I probably did about 13, 12, 11 of those. Maybe 12 of those. I actually got into Scientology when the War is Over video came out. So, yeah, FF rocks, 30, or FE rocks, 39. 39. No, 49. Yes, 39, sorry. It's early. Okay, so how many of those did I go to? About 12 of those. Okay, so did I experience anything during them? Boredom. They're long, drawn out, and as a staff member, you're more thinking about with the main event in October. You're more happy the event is going, and that you don't have to run around like an idiot anymore. And then you're planning out. For me, it was planning out who to get donations from, what was being sold that night, how we keep around, doing surveys, make sure all the activities of the actual event occurred. Because for the most part, I ran most of the events in the church as well when we had them. So we would have anywhere from 35 to 75 people at each event. They would watch the event, and then afterwards we'd have food, and we would have surveys that had to be done, and so that was kind of more of what was going on with my mind, or in my mind. As far as the other events, the three we had every year, again, those were just torture because they would do the 45-minute briefing, and then I would have to sit there and listen while we did while fundraising was done, and we basically sat there until we made our target. I do remember the second one I went to, Jeff Pomerantz. Those of you who don't remember him, he was I believe, an actor in the 70s on some soap opera. He also does the voiceover work for all the events. He came to Buffalo, and I remember that the event did not go very well, and I remember him making a very snide comment about, like I thought you said these guys were like real whales and real heavy hitters. So that was really like, this is I just got into science. I think it was my first event as a staff member, actually. So that was a little weird. Okay, so now we have our question time. If you can hear, I've actually got a little bit of a cold right now. I'm trying to hold back from coughing right now. Okay, so we got a number of people on right now. Haha Joy, yes, she's an interesting one. Okay, let's see. Let's read over a couple of these. All right, so when you first heard on Leo Remedy series, what was your reaction? Had you thought of speaking out before then? Okay, so this is Lisa Kennedy. Take what you want and leave the rest. When you first heard on the Leo Remedies, what was your first reaction? First heard of the Leo Remedies show, what was your reaction? And how had you thought of speaking out before then? No, actually, funny enough, I've told this story before, but the first one I ever saw, my wife had mentioned to me about the show. She obviously knows everything about my experience with Scientology. She always has a lot of questions, which I've always been very open in answering. And in fact, most people that ever asked before this point, anytime anyone would ask about Scientology, I would tell them, answer the questions. And I really didn't know it. And by the way, when people said, "Who is Zeno?" I'm like, I don't know. I had to read about that. So, all right. So to answer the question, my first reaction was I was a little nervous. I knew who Leah Remedy was. I don't know her personally, but I knew obviously who she was. I very reluctantly watched the first an episode with my wife. We had somehow found them online. Believe it or not, the first interview she did was with Aaron Smith-Levin, who I trained with down in Florida. Lived in the same apartment with for 8 months. He was from Philadelphia. I was from Buffalo. And I saw what happened. I had heard about his brother and him passing away. When I saw Aaron's reaction to that, and then what his seniors said to him when he was in Sea Org, I was appalled at that point. And I then looked him up. I found his YouTube channel, Growing Up in Scientology. I saw his 4 interviews that he did with Mike Rinder. And Mike Rinder is somebody in Scientology I would say that I always admired and knew about him being out of Scientology and had been in touch with him as well after he left the church and started up his blog. So I then reached out to Aaron, and this was probably in April, right around my birthday. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, was anyone that you know about there was a Class 5 staff member, had been involved in not only the Golden Age attack, but one of the first buildings, the new Ideal Orgs. Is anyone else out there like that?" And he's like, "No, I don't think so." So I set up, I think I started in May. I started doing these videos, and I got a very funny story that happened the day I did my first video, which I think I've told, but we're not going to get into that right now. So had I thought about speaking up before then? Yes, I had. I just never did. It really took seeing Aaron on the show, and seeing the show. And I started, I watched multiple episodes after that. It wasn't until then I really thought that I could actually do this, and I didn't care I don't care what happens because no one can do anything to me. And I've had to explain that to my wife too, that no one's going to hurt us, no one's going to do anything to us. So we don't have to worry about it. So thank you. Very good question. Um, as an ED of Buffalo, what interactions with OSA did you have? What people in Buffalo did OSA surveil or harass? Robert Roberts. As an ED in Buffalo, what interactions did OSA did I have, and what people in Buffalo did OSA surveil or harass? Answer the last part first. Nobody. We didn't have anyone out in the Buffalo field that was saying anything at the time that I was in the executive director. OSA is the Office of Special Affairs. That is OSA is used. That word is used when you're talking about management. Every church has the Department of Special Affairs, or the person who runs that would be called the DSA. The DSA is the only proper noun that also describes the department head, if that makes any sense. Department of Special Affairs, you now call that person Department of Special Affairs, which I thought of the other day is kind of weird. So it's the only title that was a proper noun and the description of the department, excuse me. They're only a department. They're in Division 20, Division 21, or Department 21. No. Yes, we had a long-standing DSA. Actually, Tara's grandmother was the DSA for Buffalo for 12 years. And then her daughter, Teresa, took over. And she was the one that fumbled the whole Jeremy Perkins situation by lying to the press, which I berated her unbelievably for. That he was never involved in Scientology and that he was never on course, which was a big old bag of shit that she had to step in. And I got a lot of trouble. I got actually creamed for yelling at her because she wasn't my junior, so I wasn't allowed to yell at her. But it was my organization, and I was responsible for it, right? Yeah, whatever. And it was my brother-in-law. Okay, so this is Travis S. Clown. Travis S. Clown. All one word, though. Okay, LRH said the Earth was flat and had no curves any pre-clear had ever seen. How do you feel about that? I have never heard that. I'll read it again. LRH said the Earth was flat and had no curve any pre-clear had ever seen. How do you feel about that? Never heard that. Travis, if you're still on, please, if you can send me the reference to that. Never heard that. Ever heard that. Now, obviously, I don't know everything about Scientology because I didn't even know who Xenu was until about a year ago. All right, your next question, Travis, is how much material did you read and listen to? How far on the bridge did you go? Last question first. I made it up through the drug rundown. I did a ton of repair auditing. I did my clear certainty rundown because I thought it was a last life clear, which is pretty common for people people at my age and that age time period, because we would be the second generation of Scientologist. How much material did you read and listen to? My God. Are you talking about the books and the tapes? I was around when those came out. I did the event for that. Never really listened to much of that stuff. Did a few courses on the free wins, the OT Hatting courses. I was a fully trained course room supervisor. I did the student hat 4 times, including the study certainty course. So I've listened to all those lectures. I've done the PTSSP course 3 times and the specialist course once. Got onto my auditor training, pro meterings, pro TRs, passed by RTC. So I did a lot of training. I did OEC Volume 0. I've read the data series twice. Love to be able to do that course because there's some amazing information. I mean, as insane as LRH was, there's some things he really, especially when it came to doing investigations, stat analysis, and that sort of thing. But I probably did more than most staff, but not as much as other people. Safe answer. Random review. Hi. Hello. You're new. Good. Good. I'm glad you came on. What is this about? I am doing a question and answer. Because of the videos, a lot of people will go on and ask questions about different things after the video has gone live and is on YouTube. Or people will ask questions here, and I'm basically answering them. If you're asking, you have a more specific question, I'm still here. Go ahead and ask, and I will definitely answer it for you the best of my ability. Fifi rocks. Thank you for correcting my math, Fifi. Have you ever read Barefaced Messiah, and what are your thoughts on this book? No, Barefaced Messiah. No. Who wrote it? Let me know. Oh, you just answered that. Sorry. Russell Miller was the author of the book. He was last on the show, Leah Remedy. Okay, so he did one of the added shows. No, I have never read it. Is there anything specific in the book you wanted to ask me about? Go ahead and ask. Let's see if I missed any questions here. Okay, so Robert Roberts, on Tony Ortega's site, her ex-boyfriend tells how Joy got a domestic abuse charge. Did not know that. There was also some video that was going online with her, quote unquote, sexually assaulting some guy by smacking him in the butt. So don't know. He studied LRH. Okay. But was there something, Fifi Rocks, is there something specific you wanted to bring up about that I can answer for you? Being that I didn't read the book, it's kind of maybe I can't answer anything for you on that. Okay, so that is pretty much it with the questions. We'll stand for a little bit if anyone else has any questions. Still looks like we have a very good connection. This is going okay. So we have definitely gotten a better way of doing this now. Okay, so what's going? Oh yes. So something very important I actually caught on to. Supporters of Leah Remedy Aftermath of Scientology Facebook group. This is the one that Aaron Smith Levin, Mike Rinder, Mark and Claire Headley are part of. Aaron lives in Clearwater. Clearwater is where the Mecca of Scientology is. This is where Flag is. They own a ton of property in downtown Clearwater. And what's basically happened over the last 15 plus years, 20 years, 30 years, is that downtown Clearwater has basically gone away. As far as businesses, people from the community being around the area, shops is not, I haven't seen it yet, but this is basically what I've been told. So it's not a lot's going on in that area anymore. So Aaron on March 10th is organizing a block party. Now, this Thursday in Clearwater is Scientology's annual block party, which apparently they don't even announce as being part of the church. And what they do is they shut down what's called the 500 block of Scientology. Cleveland, you have the Clearwater Bank building right here, the Clearwater building. Across the street is the Coachman. And then there's basically like strips of stores that were, when I was there, were all busy. Lawyers' offices, accountants, barbershops. Actually, one store I know was owned by a Scientologist. He had everything you basically needed, from vitamins to shoes to socks to underwear to, I forgot what the name of that business was. But it was that 500 block gets shut down, and they have a big street festival. So now apparently that particular area in that block is now not as busy as it used to be. So on March 10th this year, it's on a Saturday, they're actually, Aaron's working with a group of people to bring non-Scientologists down to the 500 block and have a block party. The idea being that some surveys that he said he's done with people, meaning conversations he's had with people, is a lot of people feel that they don't want to go downtown to Scientology, to any businesses, because they might be Scientology businesses. And if they do go to a Scientology business, that they would be supporting Scientology if they did that. So a lot of people don't come downtown anymore because of that. But there's no reason why the church needs to take over. And a lot of it, from what I remember when I was there, one of the biggest complaints with people when I would talk to them, people that lived in Clearwater, was that there were so many Scientologists around. They're walking up and down the streets, taking forever to cross the street. And well, that's not really the case from what I understand. I'm going to go down probably early on a Saturday and drive around Clearwater and St. Pete, in that particular area, to see what it's like. But it's apparently not like it used to be, because now everyone seems to be concentrated in the Superpower building right across from the Fort Harrison, where you had the Clearwater Bank building, or the Clearwater building, which the Office of Special Affairs had an office in. That was where the cafeteria or the mess hall was, and some other offices were there. Cochin building was the training building where I trained. And apparently they have like little like Scientology owned restaurants in there, or run by the church. I don't know. So this is going to be good, and I'm actually supporting this personally because I feel that as a Scientologist, I had some responsibility for what happened with Clearwater. So as now that I'm out of Scientology, I would like to support the community. I actually really like the Tampa Clearwater area. I would never live there; it's too hot for me. I'm a nor'easter. But I do like the East Coast Fort Lauderdale area better. But I do, for whatever reason, have some sort of connection there. Okay. Robert Roberts, you say Joy's mother was schizophrenic. She was arguing with her boyfriend and her mother halfway across the street when she swore and attacked the boyfriend. Cops saw it and charged her. So as Joy's mother was involved in domestic abuse. Okay. Then Fifi Rocks. Read Barefaced Messiah. It goes in depth into LRH's mindset. Okay. All right. So I got you. Okay. So that'll be on my reading list. I'm doing some studying on real estate right now. So I will throw that book in between. I don't know if I want to read Leah Remedy's book or not. But again, as we started this off, Blown for Good, just finished reading that. Excellent book. Give it another minute. And then if we have any more questions, we will end, and then I can actually get on my call for work. Let's see, what else is going on? What other interesting things? All right, so I want to do a video on Joy Villa. I'm actually going to it won't be a live video, but I want to do a video on a breakdown how she was drilled for this particular interview, because it is completely a complete setup interview. Total setup interview, and I'll explain why. I still want to do, which Aaron and I talked about doing, was doing videos about The Path, the show The Path. Watch it. It is basically, it is Scientology, hands down. But I want to do, I'll do like 1 or 2 videos breaking it down. I know Aaron was starting to do like a session versus episode by episode breakdown, but I don't want, there's no need to do that in depth. I don't like talking that much. Not that Aaron likes to talk that much. I'm not saying that. Okay, good. No other questions? Thank you very much, everyone. Sorry it's been a long time. Please go ahead and hit me up on Twitter. And any questions you have, you can do through Twitter. You can do through comments on this video. And we are back into a normal work schedule with my wife and I, so I'll be able to do some more videos as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day,